ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः।
Dear friends, we are in the study of the Bhagavad Gita, the third chapter, known as a chapter on Karma Yoga. There's a saying in our scriptures that occasionally you should have a bird's eye view of what has been taught in the past. But the bird's eye view is an English idiom. In Sanskrit, the Indian idiom is Singha Avalokana Nayana. Singha Avalokan Nyayaha. As for example, if you have watched a lion in the zoo garden, in the open areas, you will see the lion walks 8 or 10 steps forward, then stops, then looks behind. And when he is happy, there is nothing left behind, he goes off again. It's habit. Singha Avalokan Nyaya. As for example, like a lion, you go a few steps forward and then you look backwards again. In the study of the scripture, we have been detailing ourselves with so many different ideas. We may forget how it all started. Therefore, we are now coming to a close. Hardly 10 or 8 more shlokas remain. But the main theme, the information, education, instruction, and description has all been mentioned 1,000 times before in the previous 32 shlokas. So it would not be improper that we have a lion's view or a bird's view of what we have studied up till now. The chapter started in a very dramatic manner. Arjuna asks Krishna, "Sir, at the end of the second chapter, from the first shloka to the second chapter end, I have a feeling that Jnana Marga, Jnana Yoga, is better than Karma Yoga. That is what you have expressed before. Jayashi chet karmanaste mata buddhir janardana tat kim karmani ghore mam nyojayashi. Hey Keshava, hey Krishna, if in your opinion Jnana Marga, the path of Jnana, is better than path of karma, if that is what I have understood you so long, then as a good, dear, well-meaning friend of mine, how come you are forcing me to do the lesser one, not the better one? Tat kim karmani ghore, this horrible warfare, this fight, impending battle in front of me. Why are you always forcing me to perform my duties as a Kshatriya, defender of righteousness, equity, fair play, justice? Why? What type of a friend are you? The implied meaning is, if you call yourself me your friend, or you assert yourself as my friend, how come You're keeping the better path away from me and putting into this horrible warfare path. That is how it starts. The idea behind is, we see Swamis and saints and others roaming about the society, and in India they have a society of themselves, away from it all, in the hills and dales and caves and forests. They stay there. They have no responsibility to the society, not even maintaining themselves. They live on begging alms day to day. No world of responsibility on their shoulders. If that is a better way to lead my life, why are you forcing me? Sri Krishna understood that Arjuna does not understand the sequential growth of human personality, the egocentric human personality, how it should be allowed to grow to the dimension of being one with the divine. From here to there. What is the procedure and the path? It is not clear to Arjuna. Because of that non-clarity, Arjuna is aspersion, laying an aspersion against his best friend Sri Krishna, that why are you then forcing me to go through this path of Karma Yoga? That is how all it started. Arjuna says, Sri Krishna says, no dear, I'm not being partial, I'm not keeping anything away from you. I am telling these two different paths to you because you must understand, where do you stand as of today? The Arjuna that I see in presence of me, the Arjuna who is aware of himself as it is, where does he stand vis-a-vis the two branches of spiritual practice? Jnana Marga, Sankhyanam, Karma Marga Yoginam, Maya Yukta. I have said before, Dvivida hi Rishta Maya Prokta Mayanaha, Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam, Karma Yogena Yoginam. That is how the lessons of the third chapter starts. After that very pertinent question. We all would like to be a sannyasi. Nothing to do, no worry, no sense of responsibility, no social, domestic, or any responsibility sits on my shoulders. I am as free as air. So I would rather be a sannyasi. But are you qualified enough to be a sannyasi? Have you ever thought of it? Are you qualified enough? Are you worthy enough? Are you prepared enough to follow that type of self-imposed discipline which is not known to the society, but it is known to you and your God? It is a greater responsibility than being washed by the society and keep you in your proper place, than to be washed by God. And the self-imposed discipline is so strong that I am totally wedded to a particular idea of awareness of presence of God in my life. The world doesn't watch on you. You watch on yourself and your God watches on you. That is your responsibility. Are you prepared, Arjuna? And Arjuna becomes a bit shaky. When Sri Krishna says that, he becomes shaky. And he says, Karma Yogena Yoginam. Those who want to reach that goal, they should start from here. That is the starting point of the race. This is how it all started. And then we find he slowly and slowly, through a process of information, he starts educating us as what we are today, how our life is flowing, and how it is an endless journey in circles where we create bondage after bondage after bondage onto us, and we don't know how to get out of it. And we say, this is the right way to live. Limit of delusion, limit of confused thinking, the thickest layer of ignorance in my understanding. Karma Yoga puts us in our proper place, tells us what we are as of today, what are our attitudes, and how that attitude moves in a circle, and I create bondage over bondage over bondage in my day-to-day life and living. I am an enlightened, educated, cultured human being with all my faculties in my proper place, rationality, emotionality, ingenuity, and my willpower. And I am making use of them every moment of my life. But I am used to use it. I am conditioned to use it in such a manner that I create more bondage around myself, and the path of freedom is being blocked by my own misunderstanding of issues. This is what he has been educating. And he has established how we can get rid of raga and dvesha. Attachment, obverse and reverse of the same coin, attachment and aversion. It's a condition of mind. It's an attitude. We get attached to things and we start hating things. This attachment and, I would say, attachment and hatefulness, raga and dvesha, these two get me involved. And I get involved with my likes and dislikes, my attachment and my ignorant attachment, hatred. So, he says, look into this. And then he explains what is the essence of karma yoga. In the 19th shloka, he has mentioned in the 19th shloka that if you continue to do so, karma bandham prahasyasi, that is the operative word of the 19th shloka. You will get rid of your karma. How? You perform your duties of life, convert the concept of work into concept of worship. And your personal likes and dislikes, attachment and aversions. I was missing on that word. Attachment is trying to hold on to, and aversion is trying to get away from it. Both are your involvement with the world. So he says, now understand very well, your life is flowing in such a groove that you are either a victim of attachment or a victim of aversion in this world, and the object is worldly things. Try to come out of it. And if you can come out of it, karma bandham prahasyasi. You will totally, completely, without any residue left, you will be free of bondage. That is how he came up to the 19th shloka. Then he understood, it will be better if I can place before Arjuna some historical facts. People who have practiced this, and while practicing this, they have reached their goal. And he quotes Janakadayaha, plural, Janaka Adi in plural, Janaka, Ashapati, Ashagosha, and there are galaxies of emperors of India who are both Rajas, emperors, at the same time they were rishis, knower of truth, and a special word was coined for them, Rajarishi Janaka, Rajarishi Ashapati, Raja come Rishi, blended together. They have integrated their worldly light with what? Awareness of presence of the divine, the absolute, every moment of his life. With 2 shlokas, he had established historical incidents so that Arjuna or we, the students, we think it is a fairy tale from Krishna without any root. He's roaming in air. No, he gives you concrete examples. Then he goes further. He is an avatara, incarnation of the divine. He has nothing to expect from the world, and the world has nothing to offer him because he is the master of this universe. He is born as a human to teach his children how to go beyond this bondage. Nanavaptam vaptavyam kinchidasti. I expect the world has nothing to offer to me, nor do I expect anything. I am everywhere. And I am performing my duties of life because I want my children to be emancipated. That is my only loka sangraham. Lokanu jigrikshaya jataiva kurbanniva iti chalakshate. That is how he says, that it appears I am born, it appears I am in human form, and the purpose is to good to others like the fresh, life-giving breeze of spring after a weary winter. All these descriptions are in the scriptures, and he makes himself as an example. Even then, having heard all this, we find we are unable to live up to our own expectation or according to God's dictates. Why? So Sri Krishna enters into another subject. What is that subject? The concept of Prakriti. Here, Prakriti, you can think of the Maya, Trigunatmika Maya as Prakriti, but here he mentions Prakriti in the concept of Prarabdha Karma. Sanchita Karma, Prarabdha Karma. Anarabdha Karma. Sanchita Karma is Anarabdha Karma, and Prarabdha Karma is Phalonmukh Karma, which has started giving results. We are all victims of our past karmas, performed before this moment that I am speaking of in this life, and I don't know how many previous lives, before I was exposed to this idea, this concept of karma yoga. And repetitive, similar activity in the physical level, emotional level, rational level, egoistic level, performed over and over and over again, repeatedly, creates a force of habit. And that force of habit of performing our activities in the world with an eye to the result thereof, acquisition and avoidance. I don't want this to happen, that's why I'm doing so. I want this to happen, that's why I'm doing so. Attachment and aversion, raga and dvesha. In spite of all that background, how come we are unable to follow these dictates, these wise words of wisdom? How is it so? We are now in that stage. That is correction of our attitude with which we live in this world. And that is the key point. That is the touchstone. That is the criteria. Our attitude with which we live in this world. Let us repeat the shloka 33 and then we move on to shloka 34, whereby from commonsensical point of view, we will get an answer to this pertinent question, having been told so many times, having read so many times, having heard so many times, how come I am unable to change my attitude? Correction of my attitude with which I live in this world. Before we say what is your medicine, we should first know what are the symptoms of the disease and what is the cause of those symptoms, then the medicine will work. That is how medical science treats diseases. Think of this hold on me of an attitude which is invincible, as it were, because of my repeated performance over and over and over again. And I am a victim of the result of those efforts. And even though I understand rationally, I can't come out of it. I can do it practically. I can't do it practically, though I understand rationally. Why so? A serious, sincere sadhaka or a sadhika, it is immaterial. A sincere, serious human being who wants to be one with God, he understands everything rationally. Emotionally, he pines for it. But when it comes to performance, he is forgetful. Why? The answer is in the 33rd shloka, and the cure of it is in the 34th shloka. So please now, I beg of you, of your undivided attention. We have read the 33rd shloka before, but let me again read it for you. Sadrisham cheshtate swasva prakritir jnanavanapi prakritim janti bhutani nigraham kim karishyati. As simple as that. And our standard method is word-to-word meaning, meaning of the sentence, and finally, what is the idea that the author wants to convey to me, the intention of the author, word-to-word meaning, meaning of the sentence, and finally, which is most important, what idea the author is trying to convey to me by these proper, correct choice of words. So, let us go to word meaning. Sadrishtam cheshtate swasva prakriti jnanavanapi. Jnanavanapi sasya prakriti sadrisham cheshtate. Jnanavanapi, a person who is a realized soul. He has broken asunder all the limitations of ignorance, and he is poised and established in the majesty and magnificence of his own true nature. But because of his prarabdha, Prakriti, because of his prarabdha, he is still alive in this body. And he behaves in a particular pattern. He behaves in a particular manner. And I can assure you, I have been honored, I have been blessed to have the company of a few realized souls. And each of them, after realization, their behavior pattern was totally different from each other. What they were Gyanis, they should be all the same? No, they were different. Swami Madhavanandaji had a trait of his personality. And we had to study him. What are the things that he desires around him? What will make him happy? What will irritate him, annoy him? We had to study that. And having studied their personality, we conducted ourselves likewise. Why? Here in the Mundaka Upanishad, you will see that if you are desirous of moksha and mukti, seek the blessings of a realized soul. Serve him in such a manner that he blesses you, you may reach the goal. You will. Because he is one with God at that time. God blesses you. You will find it in the Mundaka Upanishad, in the third Mundaka. We'll come to that. So, there is Swami Madhavanandaji, a different type. Swami Jagadanandaji was a different type. Shantanandaji was a different type. Virajanandaji was a different type. And I had the honor of serving them, to some for a prolonged period of time, to some shorter periods of time. But the basic education that I was given is, take your time, observe them, see how their personality flows, and try to help it out. Don't create any obstacle in their flow of life. And they will be very happy with you, and a point will come that happiness will give you a boon, will give you a blessing. And their blessing is absolutely infallible because they are one with God. You'll read all that in Mundaka, I'll come to that there. Prakriti means the trend of his past habits. What does it mean? Let me be very clear, because this is a catchword. If you don't understand it properly, that confusion will always haunt you. Say, for instance, I take one human specimen. I'll name nobody. An example. A human being is born with such samskara. The prarabdha is phalanmukh. It is there to give results. And the samskara is that because of past force of habit, you are naturally oriented towards God. But as you know, Trigunatmika Maya has tamas, rajas and sattva in it. So you, being a product of Maya, bodily, emotionally, rationally, egoistically, you will go through the excellence of one of the three phases, that is tamo abhibhuta sattva rajaha. What does it mean? Tamagun is such an ascendance, sattva gun and rajagun has been played. Rajo abhibhuta sattva tamaha and sattva abhibhuta raja tamaha. That means this is the way. These are the permutation combinations in the flow of my life. Sometimes I feel very bad, very wretched. I'm being tortured by my propensities, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, vatsarya. Sometimes I'm highly elated. Oh, my meditation was excellent today. Sometimes I'm restless. We experience all that. Now, a person who is a realized soul, he manages the movement of his personality with a willful effort so that sattva, abhibhuta, raja and tama is paramount. What does it mean? Sattvic guna is at the ascendancy, and because of that ascendancy, rajaguna and tamaguna is very little. 95% sattva, 3% raja, 2% tama. 100%. And that is a sadhak period. That is how they are doing the sadhana. And what is sadhana? Continuous, repetitive, similar performance to be aware of the presence of God in me, and I wait to see Him outside. I imagine He is everywhere, but let me find out, who am I? That is the essence of sadhana. Good enough. And you are doing it repetitively over and over and over again. You are creating a samskara by performance with attachment and involvement. And you are born with that tendency. And in this life, because of your exposure to this, you add fuel to fire. You enhance that tendency. So certain basic qualities are the highest common factor in the personalities of realized souls. So whether you are a jnani or you are an ajnani, during that period of Jnanotpatti Kala, when your Jnana is ascended, you know who you are until the body falls. The prarabdha continues to function, and the prarabdha with which you have been born and the prarabdha that you have created in this life, they have joined together, and that becomes a force of habit, what we call your character. This is what it is. Now read this shloka. Sadrisham cheshtate swasya prakriti Jnanavanapi. Even if a Jnani, if he lives after his realization, till his body falls off, in that period, he is a victim of his prarabdha. Here, Prakriti means not Trigunatmika Maya, but prarabdha. What is that? Purva Janma Krita Dharma Adharma Icha Pranodita Karma. Beautifully arranged. Purva Janma Krita, performed in your previous life, which has brought you here. Otherwise, you would have been elsewhere. Your prarabdha, your good deeds of life have brought us here, under the shelter of Sri Ramakrishna and the Holy Mother. And then, during this life, we have added fuel to fire. We have burned the fire to a blazing extent, to burn away all our dirt and dross. And we created a sattvika sanskar. And with that Suddha Satti Bhagavati Tanu, I am blessed with that knowledge, Aham Brahmasmi. I am what I am. I am beyond time, beyond space. I am infinite, I am eternal, I am immutable, I am absolute. I can experience who am I, but I can't explain who am I, describe who am I. I can experience. And my Prakriti, that totally Shubha Karma Prakriti. So I'm told Sri Ramakrishna had a slight stammer. And people used to say, I've heard it from Swami Sridharananda, and people used to say that made it sweet instead of the stammering being a fault. It's a fault for our understanding. But the way Sri Ramakrishna spoke with a little stammer, it made it as if he's a child trying to speak properly. So though it is a fault, which it appears to be not a fault, a virtue. That is what is life of it. So Jnanavan api swasva prakritir chishtate. Their performance and their flow of life is like that. Prakritim janti bhutani. Other people, those who are not Jnanavan, they are conditioned by their Prakriti. What is that Prakriti? Prarabdha karma phala. Prarabdham karma phala. That is, I am a victim of my past karmas, whereby I have attached myself with something and I have detached aversion, created aversion, or I have been averse to something. Attached to, averse to. I am a victim of that. Nigraham kim karishyati. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. This is where we find all over the scriptures. I know it. Baladivanyojita. Somebody has get me by my neck and makes me do it. Kena papam charati bashneya papam charati purusha. Baladivanyojita. He is got hold by his neck and is made to do it. Why so? Because I am a victim of my past karma. What type of karma? Phalonmukha phaladata prarabdha karma. And this body has started with the prarabdha karma giving fruit and result, and this body will fall off when the prarabdha karma ends. If you are a jnani, your sanchita karma will be burnt away. It will no more be there because you have totally disidentified yourself with Maya, from Maya. You have totally disidentified yourself. Sadrisham cheshtate swasya prakriti jnanavanapi. Prakritim yanti bhutani. The other people, like you and me, we are victims to our prarabdha. Nigraham kim karishyati. What are those injunctions and edicts do to you? Because you are a victim of your prarabdha. That is why we have to perform that sadhana, which in commonsensical language is a repetitive, similar activity, physically, emotionally, rationally, egoistically. That type of activity will break my bondage. That is a sadhana. If you can do so, then you can expect to be free. If you don't do so, if you can't do so, your freedom will be delayed. It will not be stopped because Devadurlava Janma, Manava Janma is meant for that. That is, Jivana Mukti Sukha Prapti Hetave Janma Dharanam. You are born to enjoy that bliss of being Jivita Eva Mukta San, Jivana Mukta, which is denied to gods even. It is only given to a human. So, dears, Sri Krishna tries to answer our question, why is it, instead of knowing it, listening, trying to do so, why is it we fail and we are unable to do so? Why? Because of this reason. Sadrisham cheshtate swasva prakriti jnanavanapi. Prakriti vijanti bhutani. Nigraham kim karishyat. What can nigraha do? Nigraha means restrictions. Restrictions of don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. You will do it because somebody has got you by your neck and make you do so because of your prarabdha. You have to work out your destiny to get rid of the hold of your Prakriti. Here Prakriti means your Purva Janma Krita Karma. This is how he answers, this is what you have to do. Immediately, as a serious student, you will ask, sir, how do I do it? Analyze why I do it and tell me why I do it, how I do it, so that I learn how not to do it and how to go about it. This is a methodology. This is a very, very absolutely infallible method. Let me identify my problem. As soon as I identify my problem, I am in a position to solve it. He has identified your problem. Now he will tell you in detail what is your problem and how you can come out of it. Let us go to shloka number 34. I will rapidly complete it and I'll spend more time on it in my next session. What does he say? Indriyasya arthe raga dvesha vyavastitau tvayor na vashamagachet tohi asya paribantino. Let us break it up in 4 quarters. 4 quarters make this shloka of 2 lines. Indriyasya indriyarthe raga dvesha vyavastito. Indriyasya indriya arthe. Stop there. Indriya pancha gyanendriya and pancha karmendriya. These are the organs with which this human body, this human mechanism functions. 5 of them are sense organs and 5 of them are active organs. Those active organs are motivated, insinuated by the 5 sense organs. Indriyasya indriyasya arthe. Indriya and tasya vishaya. Artha here means vishaya. What is it? Don't think it is a riddle and enigma. Eye is my organ, sense organs. The eye is capable of taking in the concept of shapes and forms, rupa. Chakshurindriya tasya vishaya. What is that artha? Vishaya is rupa, form, shape, size and form, or partitioning a space in a manner. The space is everywhere. You have occupied that space. Limited by space. That is rupa. Chakshurindriya, object or artha is rupa. Karnendriya, ear, the object is shabda, the sound. Nashendriya, what is that? Nashendriya, nasha, object is smell, carried by fragrance, odor or stink, whatever it may be. It is carried by air. Skin, the touch, objects to touch and feel. And you say it is hard, it is pleasant, it is soft, it is very soft, it is liquid, it is semi-solid, it is granite. The concept of touch, acquisition of knowledge from objects. And the 5th is your tongue. It has a capacity to taste. This should be the rasha. Rashu kamla amla kata kotu, rashu amla kotu, and etc. etc. So these are the indriyas and these are the objects. Karmendriya and Gyanendriya, 10 of them. And Pancha Pran, the 5 effects of life force in the body. All that, guided by your ego, is functioning. How is it functioning? Indriyasya indriyarthe raga dvesha vyavastito. It is so organized. In the process of performance of these organs, you either get attached or you develop aversion. Raga, dvesha, vyavastito. If you are not well educated, well trained, well done, if you are just following the impulses of your life, either you are attached or you are averse. There is no third. Raga, dvesha, vyavastito. That is a vyavastha. That is the infallible law that God has set in. Indriyasya indriyasya raga, dvesha, vyavastito. That is spontaneous. Look at yourself, try to analyze yourself everywhere. Either you are attached or you are averse, and even if you are doing it as a sense of duty told by your seniors, sometimes you resent it, sometimes you like it. Other factors overrule your dislike, you have to do it. Raga, dvesha, vyavastito. Good enough? Is that infallible? Is it not correctable? Well, yes, it's correctable. And that is what sadhana is all about. That is helpful, trying to help yourself is all about. What is that? Tvayor, between these two raga and dvesha, tvayor na vashamagachet. Don't submit yourself to that spontaneity. Your willpower, your rationality, your emotionality, your ingenuity, and your willpower, all four together in an integrated manner. Tayor na basham agache. Of those two, never submit yourself to be a slave of that. Don't be a slave of that spontaneous feeling of raga and dvesha, attachment and aversion. Why? What's wrong in it? The whole world is doing it. Why not me? Because you have set a goal for yourself. And this getting attached to attachment and aversion, so he asya paripantino. These two are the greatest, all-pervasive obstacles for reaching your goal. Now you see how he rationally develops an idea, informatively. He keeps on, I would say, beating about it, keeps on arguing about it to educate us, and then he instructs us, and then he tells us what to do, what not to do, because if you do, you go there. If you don't do, you go there. Descriptive, informative, educative, instructive, descriptive. Tayor na basham agachet. For heaven's sake, don't ever or never submit yourself to be a slave of those propensities. Tayor na basham agachet. Why should I not? Millions of people are living that way. Why should I not? Because you have set yourself a goal which millions don't know about. Your prarabdha has helped you to come to a stage. And at that stage, you make a choice. And your prarabdha has brought you here to make this choice, to choose it and stick to it. And because that choice is not available to a common man, you please, for heaven's sake, treat this attachment and aversion as the worst possible obstacle that you can ever think of, and therefore never subject yourself to that. Tayorna vashamagachet. Don't be a subject, a victim of that, because that is the worst type of obstacle that you can ever imagine. Tayor na vashamagachet tohyasya paripartino. With this statement, dear, you now think, when he says, convert the concept of work into a concept of worship. Let your life flow on performance of the vows and duties of the life that you have chosen. To be a child of God, to be one with God. That is your goal. If that is your goal, and if that's what you have to achieve, then analyze why you are not able to, because all your energy is being spent on raga, attachment, and dvesha, aversion. Don't be a victim of this. Tayor na vashamagachet. Please, for heaven's sake, for God's sake, don't be a victim, a slave of it. Why? They are the most dangerous, most difficult obstacles that you face in your life's goal to reach your life's scope. This is what it is. Tvayor navashamagachet tu hiyasya paripantino. And then he will, in the remaining few shlokas, it will all be positive instructions how to go about it to be a successful karma yogi. Well, dears, let me stop here today. We'll meet again next time and we'll develop this idea further because it is extremely important to such person who really, sincerely, genuinely build up a spiritual life to be one with God. This is one of the platforms or one of the launching pads in a modern language. You launch yourself from this pad. Thank you, dears. Thank you ever so much.
Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.